All right, g'day guys, welcome back. For those of you watching the first time, I'm Harry Sweeney. I'm a pro cyclist from Lotto Sudal. This is episode 2 of Sharing a Beer, and today we have countryman Jarrad Drizners. He's a 23-year-old neo-pro for Lotto Sudal. So first things first, here's cheers, Jarrad.
Cheers,
welcome
mate.
on, it's good to have you. So Jarrad is one of 2 neo-pros at Lotto signed this year. His first year pro, it's been a very, very tumultuous year for Jarrad. So we'll get through that, but first things first, a bit of viewer discretion is advised on this one. It's got a bit of graphic crash description, so I'd advise you to have a think about that before you watch. But apart from that, we'll get to that later. But so give us a quick run through, JD. How did you get into cycling?
Well, first things first. I started racing BMX when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
My best mate up the street did it, and I just wanted to follow along a bit, hang out with my best mate. So I went around to the BMX track, started racing with him, and then went into track cycling because my brother was in like a talent program in SA. So like I followed him, and then did a bit of track and road, and then eventually, I went through the pathway through Sassy, the track academy, and then decided to switch to the road. Did 2 years with Hagen's Berman Action, up until this year, and then now, with Lotto on the road. So.
And what was one of the deciding factors in why you switched over from track to road? Did you think that there was no real future there for you, or?
Yeah, I would say that. Like not a long-term future, not like a career. I sort of saw like this crossroad of like I wasn't going to go to the next Olympics, so I thought I'd try and make a career on the road and make some money. Actually have a like a job per se as well, a longer career. Whereas on the track, it's kind of more short-term.
Yeah.
So.
And so for me, I went through the famous Australian World Tour Academy program. I got the whole European experience through a really closed and like contained environment. How do you think it affected you not getting that exposure in Europe, like having to do it all by yourself?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult. I mean, I was lucky in the sense that I got into Action.
Yeah.
And we had the same manager, so I contacted him, and it was actually a pretty easy process for me. But I think I was one of the lucky ones. Like, if I see guys now, it's like even harder and harder. But I was definitely like pretty jealous of the World Tour Academy days. Like, I wish that was still around, even for nowadays for the younger generation. But yeah, I got lucky. I got onto Axel Merckx's team, and that they had an amazing like European program. So it was basically filled the slot for WTA, but also like having COVID and stuff, it was all messed up for everyone. So I kind of got lucky in the sense that I got into a good development team in Europe to replace that.
And on the term of Europe, so my first ever trip to Europe, I went to stay in Oudenaarde in Belgium. I was super excited. Get off the plane, finally drive there, open the door to the team house with all the Australian boys, and Jai Hindley greets me with, "G'day mate, I'm Jai, welcome to hell." And I was like, oh, what have I got myself into? So that was my first experience there. Like, how did you find your first experience in Europe?
Yeah, my first full-time experience was different. I mean, I'd been over 2018, 2019. First time was by myself when I was in Sassy with a teammate. We'd just come and race kermesses. Stayed in Belgium with a lovely family. Then the next year, 2019, was with Inform. So we did like a month of same sort of thing, racing kermesses, which was unreal. Like all the boys back home, we come over, a massive team, massive squad. It was heaps of fun. But then 2020, it was like a pretty rough sort of like introduction to the actual European life in terms of like went to training camp, got sick. I was in America, flew to Europe, moved into like an unfurnished apartment with a couple other Aussies. Had no idea, like Newtown in Girona, like Newtown, never been there before. Was like, this is the place to go, so I just went there. Didn't know anything, didn't know Spanish, obviously. Like didn't know, where to ride, where to shop, where to do anything. So like got through a month solo there, did my first race, and then COVID hit. So I was like, that was a real spanner in the works. So we all yeeted back home for like 2 or 3 months, and then come back to Europe. And it was better the second time around, but it was still like, I don't know, it takes you a while to find your feet, eh? It's like, Girona is luxury, and it's like, pretty nice place to live as a young cyclist, but like just living in Europe full time is like a shock.
And do you think when like you finally signed pro that moving to Beausoleil this year, like it's really helped you sort of figure out your own life and like have a life outside of cycling?
Yeah, for sure, I would say. I mean, I was like skeptical on the move and stuff. It was like a big decision because I'd kind of made home Girona in Europe. And then like, obviously you guys influenced me and I was pretty keen for change.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I moved, I was like, just felt like home straight away. And it's cool like to, like you say, have a life outside of cycling down there. So yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Unreal. So fast forward then, your first year pro, you finally made it, set up your life. You and I were out on a training ride together before UAE tour. And then I essentially didn't see you again for the next 2 months, and like nothing short of almost a life-changing crash that you had in UAE. So can you tell us like a bit about that experience?
Yeah. So buckle up, listeners or viewers. It could be pretty hectic. So like we went for a ride, and then I was like packing my bags that day. Couldn't stop for a coffee, I remember. And then left for UAE. All good. Second race for the team was sweet. Actually, we had like a reduced squad because a couple of guys got sick before. Anyway, so we were just doing like a bit of a free roll in UAE. It was all going well. Actually, that day I got told, that morning of the stage that I crashed, I got told by Mario that I was going to be doing San Remo. Yeah. So I was stoked. I was like, oh mate, career's off to the best start possible.
First monument.
Yeah, I was bloody loving it. And then it was second last stage. We're coming into the finish. There was a breakaway that actually eventually won, and it was all feisty and stuff into the final, and I was probably a bit too keen for 7th place. Not that I was going for 7th, but I was up in the mix, and then I'd sort of dropped Schwartzy off in sort of okay position. We were just trying to help each other out. And then there was like barriers, like it went from like 4-way wide road to like narrow road, and then wide again, and then narrow into barriers. And there was like a crash in front of me, which caused like a braking in the peloton, and then I just either wasn't concentrating or just was coming in too hot, and I was sort of like locked up, had nowhere to go. Going to go around the crash and like avoid it, and there was like the barrier like literally just started there, and also like it was just a combination of things. Like another rider was coming back from doing a job, so I also had it was like just closed doors. And I just remember thinking like my last thought was, barrier, and that was it. Like then I was on the ground, people were around me, and I was like went to get up, and they're like, no, like stay down. And I was like, first thing was, so I did a lot, but first thing I felt was my finger. Like I just damaged my finger, like tore a ligament or something. I was like, I think I broke my hand. And then they were like, you got blood all over your face, because I cut up my whole face, everything. And then like I had blood coming out of my nose, so I like blew my nose out. Turns out I was broken as well. So it was first the finger, then the nose. And then I felt like the ribs and like my back and stuff. And I was like, like maybe I've punctured a lung or something, done my ribs. That's when they like unzipped my jersey. And I was really lucky because Mario and the team doc had been through a similar unfortunate event with the team. And they just saw like purple all over my stomach, and they were like, get him to the hospital like ASAP. And I remember this, like, actually I can remember like them saying this stuff, like I was fully conscious in that. So they got me on the stretcher. They're like taking a while to like buckle me up and like fussing over just stupid stuff. And they were just like, what do you do? Like, just get him to the hospital like straight away. Yeah. And I don't know how long that hospital trip was, but felt like a lifetime of just, like, I was just screaming, just like, give me painkillers, like rolling around the back of this ambo, going like Mach 10 over these speed bumps. Like, it was pretty horrific memories, to be honest. But so my injuries were, I won't go into too much detail about the rest because it's pretty heavy. But the injury was I lacerated my liver, so I had internal bleeding. And I was very lucky because it was at the top of my liver, and it like bled into the diaphragm. So that stopped the bleeding before I actually got to hospital. So I bled like, I think 2 litres of blood internally, and then it sort of stopped itself. But if it was anywhere else, then I wouldn't be here having this chat with you today. So.
Yeah, well, the first time when I saw you back in Europe after like all of this had happened, I was honestly really pretty shook up by it. Like, I was really worried because I didn't really know how severe things were until you went back into hospital again after you vomited and it tore open your liver again. And it sort of just like hit home for me, like how dangerous it actually can be. So it's hard to say now, but like, how do you think it's like affected you? Like, do you have Like, has it changed your outlook on like life or cycling or?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely changed a lot of things for me. Some for better, some for worse, I would say. But it was definitely like a very, very traumatic experience that like you just can't even explain. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, my mum was there with me, luckily, for the whole 6 weeks in Dubai, and yeah, she got to see some pretty horrible things. So she can experience it or relate to me a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely made me have like a different outlook on life. Not like, oh, I got to live life, do this, do that, but it's just like made me just realize there's more to life than just your little cycling bubble, just what you're so focused on day in, day out. It's like, that's important, but there is also other things to worry about. So
It doesn't really matter in like the grand scheme of
yeah.
life or death, does it?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking like 10 years of like 10, 20 years if you like it, like your life, whereas there's a whole other aspect to it.
Yeah. So on that topic, you're getting back into racing in the next few weeks. Slag on Norg with me and the rest of the team. So like, what are your thoughts going into that? Like, are you excited, a little bit scared, or?
Yeah, I'm super keen actually. It's been 4 months now since the crash. So like, I've had a lot of time away, a lot of time recovering, a lot of time training now. 2 months back on the bike on the road. So I'm super keen to get back in the environment with the team.
Yeah.
I saw them actually at the Giro in San Remo stage, and that was sweet. Like gave me an extra motivation to like get back. And then also, yeah, just seeing you guys training and stuff is like super motivating. I wouldn't say I'm like too scared or anything. That's like one thing I won't really know until I get on the start line. If I'm like shit in my pants or whatever, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But that's definitely like, there's no negative thoughts in my mind about that. I'm just keen to race. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't brake when a car pulls out in front of us still, so I'd say you're probably pretty good on that note, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's good. So, a few rapid fire questions to finish off. Who's better on the barbie, Caleb or I?
Oh, mate, there's not even a question. It's for sure you. I mean, sorry, Caleb, if you do see this, but yeah, I mean, Sweeney's pretty good.
I've single-handedly brought JD back to health with my barbecues. All right, next one. If you could win one race, what would it be and why?
That's actually a tough one. I've never really put too much thought into it. I would love to just win a pro race. I mean, to win a race in my career would be sweet. But I would say, I've always sort of said Liège, I think.
Yeah.
Not that it typically suits me, I just think it's a cool race. And I did well in the under-23s last year, so yeah, Liège.
That'd be a nice one. Monument on the
Actually,
Palmares.
yeah, also it was the first race that I remember watching. Like, I couldn't sleep one night and I got up and it was like flicked on TV and it was the year Dan Martin won for the first time. So it's like a bit of a memory.
Unreal. Yeah. What's your favourite thing about being a pro?
We said this, the money. Getting that paycheck every month.
No more Conti, living in a van.
Nah, it's a good life.
Unreal. If you could do one thing after retirement, what would it be?
Also haven't put too much thought into this.
Same as Matteo, our last guest.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe do something with my family. Work in like dad's business or with my brother or something like that. I think we're in a pretty fortunate situation where I could, help out my family and live a good life like that. But otherwise I'd become a tradie if I had to choose like a job.
Jobs don't matter when you've escaped death.
Exactly.
And last but not least, so we're trying to find your missus a girlfriend. Sorry for those of you that aren't Aussie. What are 3 things that you're looking for? And if you're out there and these match you, slide into the DMs.
Put me on the spot here. I mean, I don't really have a type. As long as you have got good chat, like hold a good conversation, up for a good time, just friendly, not expecting too much from me. Just chill. Just, I don't know. Yeah, just a good chick. Good looking is a bonus. Athlete is a bonus. Like athletic, yeah. That's about it. I'm not too picky, so slide in.
Unreal. Well, that's EP2 of Sharing a Beer. Here's cheers, JD.
Cheers,
Thanks
mate.
for being on, and I'm glad you're still here, mate.
Yeah. Lovely.
Unreal.
Yeah, the flight.